do you think are some of the, I don't know, unique challenges that you face, and how do you overcome them or address them? I mean, obviously there's tons of benefits in building a remote company. But, how do you think about addressing some of those unique challenges that may come along with it?
So I'm very, very guarded with our team. The culture of our team is critical. Especially when you're not working in an office, I think it's even more critical to make sure that you have a good team culture. Otherwise, it's too easy for people just to be off, and be isolated and feel like they're not part of the team. And so I have spent a lot of time building this culture of teamwork within our firm. And really the technology is, again, critical. Without the technology, we couldn't do that.
Right.
So we leverage, now that we've really built out our Microsoft, our use of Microsoft, we live and die by Teams.
Right.
We're on Teams constantly.
And Teams has come a long way, right? I mean, a few years ago, it would have been hard for anybody maybe to live and die by it, but
right. And now we have these great back screens, and you can't even tell that I'm sitting on my back patio right now, which is great.
Yeah. Absolutely. Do you have sort of a core set of characteristics or sort of qualities you look for in the folks you bring aboard, knowing that they might be, you're hiring people into what might be a somewhat unfamiliar or unique, working environment?
Yeah. So when we started doing this 9 years ago, it was really a challenge to find people who understood how to work this way, because the distributed workforce was not well known, was not widely accepted. It was, small pockets of individuals here and there. It wasn't larger teams.
Right.
And so it's interesting because, we've hired many people over the years. And some people have just had a really hard time with this concept.
Sure.
It's much easier now that we're, have gone through this last year and a half with COVID.
Right. It was sort of forced upon all of us. And
it was.
If you were sort of resistant to it before, you've sort of had to climb aboard the train at this point.
Exactly. Yeah, it did. It forced a huge shift in how we work. But we've been doing this for so long. So we've hired different people at different times. And, I've had one attorney come to me at one point. And she said, "I need an office, Crystal. I don't work well in this environment. This isn't going to work for me."
Right.
And that's great. I appreciate that. I can understand that. The way that we work is not for everyone. So when I'm hiring, whether it's paralegals, staff, attorneys, any other kind of support, I'm looking for people who are independent, can work on their own, but also have a really strong sense of teamwork and, working with other people. Because of every case we assign 2 attorneys, 1 paralegal. There's always a staff. We always build a team around every matter, every case, every client. So they have to be able to work independently, have a strong work ethic, because you're working at home. It's easy to get distracted. I have the opposite problem working at home. I work too much. I just never stop because I don't go to an office. So my home is my office. Other people have the opposite distraction of, oh, the house is dirty, I got to do laundry, or I've got to go take the dogs for a walk, or, so it's a balance. You've got to find that. But those are the 2 things that I'm looking for: is a strong sense of teamwork and a strong ability to work independently, because there's huge chunks of the time where you are working completely by yourself independently. And then I encourage lots of communication. I need people who are good communicators. That's a really big thing. It's an adjustment for people when they join our team to get used to the idea that we're going to be on Teams all day long. I tell everybody, keep your Teams app on your computer open. Everybody has to have Teams on their phone. And I mean, I live and die by this thing. And so that we're constantly able to get a hold of each other. We also have team meetings every Monday. We meet as a team. We go through what we have coming up for the week, the status of all of our cases. That's been more challenging as we've grown. Our team has gotten bigger. So trying to get that done in an hour and a half.
Yeah, try to keep that in really sort of disciplined and efficient in a way that it's sort of valuable for everybody. It doesn't take all day Monday.
Right. And the other challenge is, trying to stay connected, but not having lots of meetings for the sake of meetings.
Right.
So the way that I've structured our firm is we have a team meeting every Monday, and then I have individual meetings with each of the attorneys and staff throughout the week. And then I'll have group meetings as needed with different teams based on just different things that they have going on to make sure that I'm giving them what they need. If they need to bounce something off of me, they can. So I try to be very accessible. I'm the most accessible person in the firm. So if anybody's in anything, they call me. Before COVID, we would get together a couple of times a year for, dinners, picnics, different types of things. One year, when we were a much smaller firm, one year we all went to Florida in the middle of winter to the beach, which is great. I mean, who wouldn't want to go to the beach in the winter?
For sure.
And then, of course, with COVID, we weren't able to get together. So we just got together for the first time last month. I think it was maybe last month. And it was great. Everybody met in Western Colorado for a big golf tournament weekend and a big picnic at our place. It was really nice. Not everybody could make it, but almost everybody was there. And it was good just to see everybody face to face again. And it's important to do those things to keep that sense of teamwork and put a face. We see each other on Teams all the time like this.
Right.
But it's not the same as getting together in person. So
absolutely. No, I mean, I think that's key, right? At the end, you're trying to build, as you mentioned, a real sort of team first organization. And, there are limits to what you can accomplish if you're sort of distributed forever and nobody ever meets in person, right? I mean, particularly as a small and fast growing organization, right? The sort of baseline trust that you can establish over a glass of wine in person or a coffee in person, and goes such a long way when you have those just awfully hectic and chaotic weeks where maybe everybody at the firm has done suboptimal work because of just the constraints, right? And so having that baseline sort of relationship with each other so that it doesn't devolve immediately into finger pointing and utter chaos is can't be accounted for.
Well, and we've even taken that approach with all of our partners. You came out to Colorado last year and you got to see firsthand how we live and work.
Yeah.
You got to go on a hike and
absolutely.
You can see a little perspective of how we live and work. And it's good, I think, even for our partners to see what we do and why we do it, because you're building out a technology solution for firms like mine,
right?
Who have a really unique way that we've built and do things. And so for you to see how we do it, why we need the solutions we need is great. That's
absolutely
unique in a company like yours to take that type of an interest in its customers. So absolutely. We appreciate that type of support.
Tell me a little bit more about how you think about your work-life balance, right? And how you balance your constraints. I mean, listen, you're a mom, you're a business owner, you're a lawyer, you are involved in a number of sort of special interest groups across Wyoming and Colorado in the energy sector. I'm barely one of those things in running a company and none of the others, and I can barely keep the trains moving on time, right? So how do you balance all of this, and how have you sort of, how do you juggle all of those constraints on you as a mom, an entrepreneur, a lawyer, you name it?
Sometimes it can be challenging. And just so you know, we have new puppies and they just came outside with me here. So if you hear a little puppy yipping in the background, that's what it is.
Right.
We've got 2 new Aussie puppies. Yeah, so just, right now I'm looking out on our place. We've got a small little ranchette, which is great. I'm looking out at our horse pasture. Our horses are out here. We have alpacas. I'm looking at them. I've got one of my dogs next to me. I've got a huge garden and chickens, and those are all things that help me manage my stress.
Right.
There's a lot going on, and I think that's partly why I've structured the firm the way I have. Is that there's too much stress, too much. There's just too much weight on attorneys, I think, and we don't place enough emphasis on emotional and mental health in our industry. And for me, this is what fulfills me. It keeps me sane. It makes me happy. I love what we do as a firm, but it's important to have outside interests, and it's important to support those things. So, for my family, this is where we are. This is what we do, and so for me to be able to work outside every day, it makes me happy. It makes me, I don't feel like I'm working a 10-hour day.
Right.
I put in long hours, just like I would if I was at an office.
Right.
But when I need a break from my computer, I go out to my garden and I pull weeds. There's something very grounding about that. You get your hands dirty and you just can pull weeds and just take out whatever you need to in the garden. That's one of the things that I've done. The other thing that we've done is we've traveled all over the country. For 6 years, we don't do it anymore. Life has changed a little bit. Two of my kids are in college now, which is so hard to believe. I can't even understand how we got there so fast. I don't feel that old, but our life has changed when our kids started college. We still have one teenager at home in high school, but we're not traveling as much anymore because they're in college and life changes. Anything you can count on is change, right? But for 6 years, we traveled in our fifth wheel, our big RV, all over the country. We'd be gone 4 to 6 months a year. And again, that was part of how I managed life and juggling everything is that travel. I love to travel, see new things, be active. And so we've just really tried to place an emphasis on doing the things that we love.
Right.
We still work hard, but
Right.
we're always doing the things that we love. We take the time to do those things, because if we don't, then we're not taking care of ourselves.
Right.
So that's how I've managed juggling everything. And my family is a huge support. I mean, this is a family thing. We're all in.
Right.
One of my daughters works for the law firm now.
Oh, that's great.
She's a legal assistant. My husband is a business manager. So it's a kind of a family effort here.
Yeah.
But
That's great.
we've got such a great team, and I think supporting everybody's interests is important. And by the way, I set this up. Everybody has the same flexibility that I have.
Right.
So I figure if I'm going to travel, everybody else can travel. If I can work from anywhere, so can they.
Right.
This isn't
some folks coming to you saying they're a convert, right? I mean,
Yeah.
as long as they can do their job and do it well,
Right.
For some people that would be the dream, having that type of flexibility.
Yeah, and that's how I juggle everything, honestly. That type of flexibility is critical for me.